Sometimes I get a good feeling.
Having a good time, having a good time.
Thank God it's Friday.
This is SportsWrap, where Michigan sports fans come to talk. Sponsored by Elite Diversity Staffing and University of Michigan Credit Union. Here are your hosts, Lomas Brown and Anthony Bellino.
The Detroit Lions found their guy. Did Brad Holmes put up more than a smokescreen last night and fooled the entire league? The Bills decided they didn't want to choose anybody and got even more picks, but all in the later rounds. Russell Brown will stop by. Cousin coming up at 6:40 to dive into everything that took place in round number 1 of the NFL draft. We'll get geared up, ready to go for game number 3 in Mickey Mouse Land. That's right. We're going to the Magic Kingdom for round 3 of Pistons and Magic, all that and more here on SportsWrap. That is the Super Bowl champion, the All-Pro of the Lions, legend himself, number 75, ladies and gentlemen, Lomas Brown. I am Anthony Bellino. Our audio engineer in the bullpen, per usual, is the Danny Cahlin. And good evening to all of you, no matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening, whether it's on the radio, the WJR app, your favorite radio listening app, streaming live on our YouTube channel at WJR Radio Detroit, or online anytime at WJR.com. We appreciate you making us a part of your day each and every weekday evening at 6 p.m. The best and brightest audience in all of radio. Happy Feel Good Friday, Lomas Brown. It is the 24th day of April. What are you feeling good about, partner?
Oh, yeah. Hey, AB, TGIF.
Yes, sir.
Thank goodness it's Friday. Yes, sir. How are you? Feeling good? Weekend's coming, AB. The weekend will be here. Plan on watching a lot of the sports and just relaxing this weekend. I'm gonna, like they say, sometimes less is more. So I'm going to take that approach this weekend.
Okay. Dan, what are you feeling good about here on this Feel Good Friday?
Feeling good that I got the back porch, the back patio power washed this morning. Got all the patio furniture out there, and now it's pouring rain, so I don't get to go enjoy it this evening. But at least it's out there for the weekend.
That's right. We're going to have some great weather there. Oh, it's fantastic. Well, I'm glad everybody's feeling good about something. I'm feeling good about our draft, at least in round number 1. We'll see what happens tonight. Feeling good about the Pistons. Tomorrow, not feeling great that it's already Friday and it's already the 24th of April. I can tell you that much, Lois. I'm not feeling real great about that, partner. I'm not feeling great about that.
I know, at least I know why.
But I am feeling good about the fact that we are just Calvin Johnson days away from the second annual Lomas Brown Jr. Golf Classic for the kids. Visit LomasBrownGolfClassic.com. That's LomasBrownGolfClassic.com. Register your foursome to play today. You want to do it. You want to get involved. You want to be out there for it. What many reports are saying, and this isn't fake news, folks. I mean, it was all over the tabloids. It was all over the papers. It was all over the radio and the television. Everybody said this is the best golf outing they ever played it. So, I mean, LomasBrownGolfClassic.com. Register, and you can be out there and be a part of it. And plus, Lomas and I talked about it today. Some skewers going to be out there.
Oh,
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, man. I am too, AB. I mean, maybe I should ask DC the question that was posed to me. DC, they say the number one thing that the golf or golf clubs sell throughout is their tuna or chicken salad.
Yeah, Dan. Do you believe this?
Well, you got to think most golf courses don't have tuna or chicken salad. Most, I would say like 90 out of 100 golf courses have hot dogs, maybe like a kielbasa burger. Yeah, you're not getting chicken salad at too many. The upscale places, yeah, sure, they do sell it.
Oh, pinky up.
But Anthony, I mean, we're about a frozen Snickers and a Gatorade. That's what we care about.
It's really, well, at the Lomas Brown outing, I'm about these skewers right now. So we're trying to put together an eclectic collection of skewers that as you walk by, stuff a couple in your bag, a couple in your pockets, a couple in the cart. Trust me, I'm coming.
Easy to carry.
I'm gonna have so many Ziploc
like
bags.
that.
I'm gonna have tin foil. I'm gonna have everything. I'm leaving here with something. I'm coming. I'm from around the way, in the words of Denzel Washington.
Well, we're going to tantalize your taste buds. So whoever coming out, I'm working on tantalizing the taste buds.
Beautiful. All right, what is going on in the sports world? We'll try to get you all caught up with all the happenings. We'll do so right now in the headlines.
Big news.
I have a little news flash.
Let's check the headlines.
No, it's real news for once.
The biggest stories of the local, regional, and national news.
This is huge news.
Down to the Queen City we go, Southern Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio. the most overrated chili you could ever imagine. You ever been in one of those Skyline chili restaurants? That place smells like foot. Terrible. Sorry. This is not my kind of spot. No thanks. However, the Reds are 4-1 over the last 5. They're 16-9 overall. And tonight it'll be Framber Valdez taking on Andrew Abbott, the left-hander. We'll see if our Tigers can pick up another W. They're 14-12 on the season. We got a 6:40 first pitch lined up this evening for the Tigers, which I'm excited about tonight's game.
Oh, yeah, with the Tigers? Oh, absolutely, man. Again, I'm excited about Kevin McConaughey. That's the guy that I'm excited about. And, you know, AB, when you bring up a player or when you draft a player of his caliber, you know, you expect them to bring this kind of almost like this pizzazz to themselves. Like things move differently around them. They're just a different breed. You know what I'm saying? Little things that they do, they walk differently than everybody else. It's just little things that you notice. And this kid, he seems to have it all, man. So I'm glad the Tigers decided to bring him up so the rest of the world could see what we had down there in AAA and the Mud Hens. He was with the Hens.
The old dirt chickens. We've got Detroit basketball tomorrow at 1 o'clock. The NBC Sports Network and streaming on Peacock. If you want to be able to watch game number 3, Pistons and Magic at the Magic Kingdom inside the Mickey Mouse Club. So that's how you got to watch it. You know, obviously, you know, we're all rooting for the Pistons, of course. We'll see if the adjustments that they made from game 1 to game 2, if those will pan out. We'll also see if Jalen Duren becomes a man possessed here in game 3, and we start to see the Jalen Duren from the regular season. Maybe this first couple games just get his feet wet, and, you know, who knows?
Well, I expect them to come out with a better effort early. I think, again, they just weren't ready in the first half of that last game. Of course, they turned it on the second half of that game. But I'm looking for them to come out ready this game and to turn it on in the first half. I really am. I mean, when you beat a team the way they beat them last time, that kind of sends a message to Orlando that, hey, if we're not playing our best game, that the Pistons can embarrass us. So it'll be interesting to see how this game starts off.
The Michigan State Spartan Jaden Reed is now a part of the Green Bay Packers' long-term plans. The two sides agreed to a 3-year contract extension worth $50.25 million with $20 million guaranteed. Only had 19 catches for 207 yards and a touchdown last year during the regular season.
Well, I mean, they drafted. Think about all the receivers that they drafted and they brought in, AB. So he must be one that they feel convicted about, that they could move ahead with in the years, and he's going to be there to help Jordan Love. To me, it's the inconsistency of Jordan Love, to me, is what's been holding this team back, if you want to be honest.
Offensive Rookie of the Year odds are out. Arizona Cardinals running back Jeremiah Love has the best odds to win Rookie of the Year on the offensive side of the football, followed up by the Titans wide receiver Carnell Tate, and then Raiders quarterback Fernando Mendoza. Are you surprised?
Yes, I am. Don't see it. I mean, he's
can't
going
see
into
it,
a
won't
rough
see it.
Yeah, man.
Okay, Mike
he's
Singletary.
going into a rough situation, man. In Arizona, I mean, so
can't block, won't block.
Offensive line, right? It's not good. I mean, yeah, they got Marvin Harrison Jr. They got a couple of pieces. Who's going to be their trigger man? Who's the quarterback there? I mean, they got.
Hopefully, somebody can see over the line of scrimmage.
Stop it, AB. Leave the little man alone. Little Kyler Murray.
Well, we'll get to see him. Mike Vrabel said he's confident in the Patriots during his draft absence.
Yeah, he should be. He's absent. He don't have a choice but to be confident in them. Are you kidding me? And we know the reasons why you're absent. So that makes it even worse.
Yeah, how about those pictures that surfaced allegedly from 2020 that were posted by the New York Post? That's interesting.
I'm telling you.
Diana's got a son named Michael.
Oh,
that was born in 2021. Maury Povich, are you serious?
Hey,
that's super scintillating sensational right there.
Hey, look, once them investigative reporters get a hold of you, man, they're like dogs. They like pit bulls, man. They just not going to let go. They're just going to grab to you, and they're just going to hang on, man. And that's what they do. They're going to dig up everything they can. They're going to go way back. They might go back to when he was an adolescent, AB. They might go back to his adolescent years.
Deleted her Twitter.
That it's not, you can't escape it. You're not going to escape it. It's out there.
3 games in the NBA last night. The Atlanta Hawks. How about CJ McCollum? What a big time bucket. And then the defense by the Hawks in the final possession, putting your boy Jalen Brunson in the torture chamber there. 109-108. The Atlanta Hawks take a 2-1 series lead. Toronto with a 126-104 winner over the Cavs. So they're on the board now. Cleveland leads that series 2-1. And Minnesota, the Timber Pups, the Dogs, as they like to call them up there in the land of 10,000 lakes, also known as 10,000 daycare centers, 113-96 winners over the Denver Nuggets. So that's a 2-1 series lead for Minnesota.
I'll go back to the daycare centers. That one kind of went over my head.
Oh, Somali fraud.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was a fraud joke.
DC, that went way over my head. Damn, I'm like, what in the world?
Big Nick Shirley guy here.
Yeah, big Nick Shirley guy. I'm like, the 15th came around. I'm like, am I sure I want to pay these taxes? Like, what are we doing here right now? Who are we funding? Why are we even doing this? Yeah, pretty crazy. We had the former Michigan football staffer, Paige Shiver, characterized her relationship with Sharon Moore as an open secret within the athletic department and said those in leadership didn't do enough to protect her from the former Wolverines coach. Now, it's a lot of hearsay right now, a lot of he said, she said. But Lo, I watched the video, the actual body cam video, and I'm telling you, if more people watch that body cam video of when he was arrested, I think all I'm saying is, like, go watch it and then come back to me after you've watched it, and then let's have a conversation.
AB, how long did they say that relationship went on? For about 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
She said 4 years, AB. So she knew he was married. She knew too. She knew what she was in, what she was doing. She was compliant. So she's a accomplice. She's right in there with Sharon. So for her to just air, it's almost like, man, one of your boys is going to jail, or they threaten both of you and your boy with going to jail, and you snitch on him before he snitches on you. I mean, it kind of has that vibe to it and stuff because both were compliant.
Yeah, Jim Furyk's going to lead the U.S. Ryder Cup team after Tiger Woods withdrew from the captaincy. And speaking of Michigan, they landed 7'2" center Cincinnati transfer Mustafa Thiam. So they got some size as well after Michigan State just acquired their own 7'2" kid, the big transfer out of Charlotte. So it's just a battle royale of who can get the biggest players possible right now. All right, we're going to step aside. When we return, Lomas and I are going to dive into the acquisition and the drafting of an offensive tackle on the right side for the Detroit Lions. That's next here on SportsWrap.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Thinking about starting weight loss treatment? GoodRx is here to help. We offer FDA-approved GLP-1 medications prescribed by licensed providers, including the Wegovy tablet, with straightforward pricing and pickup at your local pharmacy or delivery to your door. All from America's #1 prescription app. Go to goodrx.com/weight-loss to get started. GoodRx is not insurance. Cancel anytime. #1 prescription app ranked by a third-party study.
Join us for a thrilling night of action at the annual Fight Night event on April 29th. Don't miss out on the adrenaline-pumping experience at the Palazzo Grande. Experience the thrill of the ring at Thrilla Gives annual Fight Night event on April 29th. Tickets are flying off the shelves, so purchase yours today.
To meet our 21st century energy demands, we need a 21st century electric grid. ITC, the nation's largest independent electricity transmission company, is working every day across the state to modernize the grid. That means safe, secure, reliable electricity to power our energy future. ITC is based right here in Southeast Michigan, always working for the greater grid. Learn more at itc-holdings.com.
Hello, this is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. Take the first step. Visit CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
At Average Al's Furniture Warehouse, our sofas have cushions, our tables have 4 legs, our recliners recline. So come on by for a perfectly average experience.
Cumulus Digital doesn't stop at average. We work with more than 4,000 local businesses every month, delivering campaigns that beat industry averages by over 25%, driving real, measurable growth. You're not average. Your results shouldn't be either. Visit cumulusdigital.com to start outperforming today.
Those cross-country trips might not be in the budget this year, so staying right here in Michigan makes more sense than ever this summer. Want some good travel ideas? Join us Sundays at 4 for the Michigan Travel Show on 760 WJR.
This is SportsWrap, where Michigan sports fans come to talk. Sponsored by Elite Diversity Staffing and University of Michigan Credit Union. Here are your hosts, Lomas Brown and Anthony Bellino.
Welcome back here to Sports Wrap on the great voice of the Great Lakes, 760 WJR and the Big 1050 WTKA in Ann Arbor. Danica Hinley behind the glass. That is the Lions legend, Lomas Brown. I'm Anthony Bellino. And Lomas, last night, round number 1 of the 2026 NFL Draft. The Lions do not trade. And there was a lot of smoke about where the Lions going to move up. Peter Schrager goes on the 4-letter network because that's where he works now. And he goes on Pat McAfee talking about, oh, the Lions are moving up. They love Caden Proctor, blase. And I'm like, look, this is probably the best job Brad Holmes has done to date of getting everyone to believe on the national side that we love Caden Proctor. Like, I don't know where it came from. Now, us on the outside to be mystified by somebody that's that size makes total sense. I mean, the first time we saw him at Alabama, it's like, who is this monstrosity of a human being? I'd love to have somebody that size. Then Nick Saban comes out and says, hey, look, he's a great kid. Once you get him to camp, it's going to be just fine. He's probably going to come in maybe not in the best shape overall. And, you know, these things happen, right? And you could see the way the conversation was shifting. But as the week went on, more and more of us got a little bit dialed in on Blake Miller, the 6'6", 317-pound Iron Man from Clemson. And that's kind of where, you know, we landed yesterday. He was the one that our draft analyst, resident draft analyst here, WJR, Russell Brown, who will join us coming up at 6:40. That's who he had mocked at 17. That is where we end up at. So kudos to Brad Holmes and the crew for being able to trick everybody into believing that, hey, we love Caden Proctor. We're going to trade up for him, get everybody getting squirrely. The Dolphins actually get Caden Proctor by going up to number 12 to select him. What were your thoughts on the way that the first round went, Lomas Brown? And then what were your thoughts on the overall selection of going right tackle with the 17th pick?
Well, I thought everything went right to cue. I mean, what I mean is that it seemed like every team were drafting the people that we thought that they were going to draft, a couple of surprises in there. But for the most part, guys went to where we thought they would be slotted to go. You didn't see too many crazy trades that were made. There were a couple of them that were made, especially the one between Dallas and Philadelphia. Strange to see two divisional rivals trade like that with each other. But I thought that Blake, when I text you in DC after he was selected, I thought we got the best offensive tackle in the draft, this year's draft, when we got Blake Miller. It was too many other question marks, especially for me. I told you how I felt about a guy who fluctuates the way that Caden Proctor, his weight fluctuated, especially when you're talking about a guy that's he's fluctuating between 350 and 380. Wow. I mean, yeah, man, that's just,
it's a lot of skewers at the Lomas Brown Golf Classic.
That's more than a lot of skewers, man. He got his own skewers. He wouldn't just let them have his own. But, if guys like that get hurt, will they eat themselves, to a weight that's undesirable? It's just all kind of little things you have to worry about with that. So I thought we got the best guy. We got a guy that maybe could step in right now with all the starts he's had in college. We don't know that for sure till we get him in camp. But I was pleased with the draft. Even though you and DC know I wanted an edge rusher, I was pleased with them picking up Blake Miller.
Now, Blake Miller went on to say that the guy that he would model his game after would be Penei Sewell. So, okay, yeah, you got my attention. That's great. His RAS score, relative athletic score. So this is where they take all of your measurements plus all of your athletic scores throughout the combine, like your 40 and your cone drill and all this stuff, right? They put it all together on a scale of 0 to 10. The higher the RAS score, right, the better overall projection that there is. Now, from all of the offensive tackles, since this has been put together since 1987, he is a top 20 RAS score of all time at his position, offensive tackle, 17th. Now, Monroe Freeling is number 2 all time, and he went a couple selections later, the tackle out of Georgia, to Carolina. Here's the difference. You're looking at a guy in Blake Miller that is coming in with 3,778 snaps. That is the Clemson record for career snaps. Missing one practice with a broken hand. Club it and get back out there, young fella. 54 starts from freshman year all the way through. He's coming in day one to be your starting right tackle. So now you have Penei Sewell, and this is what I want to ask you. If you put Blake Miller in there and he's going to start day one at right tackle, it does concern me a little bit if you have rookie right tackle, second-year right guard. But Cade Mays is going to be an upgrade at center, Lomas Brown, and now Sewell slides to the left side, which everybody kind of thought was going to be the plan to begin with whenever Taylor Decker was going to call it a career. How much will Sewell being on the left side elevate Christian Mahogany at left guard? Is that something that will happen, or is it they're two independent positions, so it's not really going to matter that much?
No, it will matter. That should help Christian Mahogany a great deal, having an all-pro guy like Penei Sewell next to you. Just the communication between him and Penei. And I'm quite sure the communication between him and Taylor Decker were very good, because you're talking about veteran guys that have been there. I think when you start talking about, being able to help a guy out that may struggle a little bit, that can happen with the tackle helping the guard out. So, and of course he has the center on the inside of him to help him out too. But I think that's going to be a great deal for Christian Mahogany, and I think that's going to help accelerate his growth in the league. My biggest question mark, AB, and like I say, I have to see it first. We know about all the projections with Blake and everything. So I just want to see, once he gets into camp, OTAs, rookie mini camp, training camp, and because I think coach is taking a different philosophy this offseason, meaning that guys are going to play in the preseason. They didn't play last year. I think he's doing that a lot different this year. Guys going to play. So when we see this, that's when I'll be able to kind of evaluate whether he'll be able to start day one. If not, I'm telling you, man, if I'm a guy like Larry Borom, man, I'm burning right now. AB, I'm going out and I'm doing everything I can to make sure I keep that position, because I think going into the camp, it might be Larry's job going into camp. Man, it's no way I'm going to let a rookie take my job. That's my mindset if I'm here. And if he has that mindset, that means he's playing at a certain level. That means we're having success, AB. So I hope the rookie gets a chance to be a rookie and don't have to start, because Larry's doing such a nice job of keeping him back on the bench.
It'll be very, very interesting in how this whole offensive line comes together. And I heard you loud and clear when you were talking about edge, right? And I completely understood it, right? And whether they go edge here in round 2 later on tonight, or they go linebacker, right? I'm good either direction. They have to be able to find somebody on the opposite end of Aiden Hutchinson that's going to be a difference maker, because we've seen how that can make a difference when you do have a guy like a James Houston who's having a very productive season, and Al-Quadin Muhammad who's having a very productive season. And you see the importance of having depth at that position where you can rotate guys in, where Aiden doesn't have to play 100% of the snaps. If he plays 9 out of every 10 snaps and he can take a breather, I mean, the guy's motor is incredible, but you notice it. He comes off the field. If we eventually get a stop and force a punt at some point, and it's the third, fourth quarter, you can see the wear on his body. Like, you can see the way that he is breathing. My man is leaving it all out there every single play.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to need some depth off of that edge. Like, it has to happen at some point. But also the way that this offensive line was constructed last year and its long-term effect. I also think that the other piece of this, Lomas, that we keep forgetting about, we're not mentioning, is getting Sam Laporta back off of his injury, and how that affects not only Jared Goff in the passing game, but how this also affects the run game and his ability to block and help out this offensive line, especially on that right side next to Blake Miller.
Yeah, so AB, so your point, my counterpoint. My counterpoint would be, if we think about the makeup of our offensive line last year, our weakness, like we pointed out yesterday, was the interior of our offensive line, center and 2 guards. That was the weakness. Now, we bringing in Blake, but that still leaves a question mark in the middle of our offensive line. Yeah, we got Cade May there, but you still don't know what you're going to get out the guards right now. You got a young guy in Tate, and you got Christian Mahogany. So we have to wait and see. So that wasn't a problem. The tackle position wasn't a problem for us. That's why I was kind of leaning more towards defensive end, because like you say, we need an impactful guy. We need a guy that can step in there right now and provide that other side rush, the other side of Aiden, be able to put pressure, hits, sacks, get the quarterback off his spot. And that, to me, that goes a long way in helping your secondary, because the quarterback doesn't have as long to dissect your secondary. And it also goes a long way with your secondary line, which is your linebackers. So that's why I felt that a defensive end could be a step in right now, impactful player, more so than an offensive lineman, especially an offensive tackle that we got. But I'm glad that we have the young kid. I'm not complaining about him being here, but again, that's just the direction I would have went in.
And, that's why I asked about like Sewell, because with him sliding left, what does that do with Christian Mahogany? Does it elevate his play in the middle? Because we know that Cade is going to be an upgrade in the middle at the center position, because anybody that's named Cade in Detroit is automatically going to be an all-star. I'm just telling you, it's just the way it is. We'll see more about that tomorrow. We're going to step aside. When we return, more coverage of the 2026 NFL Draft with our personal draft analyst, Russell Brown. He is going to join us next here on SportsWrap. Low championship teams are built on consistency, effort, and people that you can count on every single day. That is exactly what Elite Diversity Staffing is delivering for businesses across the country.
Elite Diversity Staffing specializes in light industrial staffing, helping companies find reliable, hardworking talent for warehousing, logistics, manufacturing, and operations. The kind of people who show up on time, stay productive, and help keep your business moving forward.
So whether you are dealing with high demand, tight deadlines, or just need dependable workers that you can trust, Elite Diversity Staffing makes the hiring process simple and efficient. No headaches, just results.
From Metro Detroit to anywhere work needs to get done, build a workforce you can rely on. Visit EliteDiversityStaffing.com to get started today.
Join us for a thrilling night of action at the annual Fight Night event on April 29th. Don't miss out on the adrenaline-pumping experience at the Palazzo Grande. Experience the thrill of the ring at Thrilla Gives annual Fight Night event on April 29th. Tickets are flying off the shelves, so purchase yours today.
ITC, the nation's largest independent electricity transmission company, based right here in Michigan, is working every day across the state to modernize the grid. Learn more at itc-holdings.com.
Harry Johnson's rising, gonna take a stand for families and freedom across this land. No income tax saving us that dough. 4747 gives us room to grow. From the fields to the city, hear the people cheer. With Harry in the lead, got nothing to fear. So here's to the future, let's make it bright. Barry Johnson's lead, we'll win this fight. Together in Michigan, well, a new dawn will rise. With a true conservative, yeah, well, let's reach for the sky.
This message paid for by Perry Johnson, our governor, because we must implement the mega audit to eliminate the waste and return the money to the taxpayers.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code AUTO for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill-up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or any gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code AUTO for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code AUTO for 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill-up.
Catch the Michigan Opportunity, an economic development series featuring candid conversations with business leaders and innovators across Michigan. Every Saturday night at 11 p.m. on the Michigan Opportunity, you'll hear firsthand accounts on how the state is driving job growth and business investment, supporting a thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem, building vibrant communities, and helping to attract and retain one of the most diverse and talented workforces. The Michigan Opportunity, Saturdays at 11 p.m., sponsored by the MEDC. Catch up with Dave Llewellyn on his podcast, now available on WJR.com.
Pamela Good, co-founder of Beyond Basics, Literacy. How big a problem is it?
There are a lot of things that have snuck up on us. And one of those is when the universities decided to do away with phonics. Mm-hmm. And when they did that, they really took out the foundational components of that. You know, most people believe that America's foundation of education is still reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Supposed to be, right?
It is now whole language, no cursive, and new math.
Yeah. The Dave Llewellyn Podcast. Go to WJR.com/Llewellyn. That's WJR.com/LEW Llewellyn.
This is SportsWrap, where Michigan sports fans come to talk. Sponsored by Elite Diversity Staffing and University of Michigan Credit Union. Here are your hosts, Lomas Brown and Anthony Bellino.
Welcome back here to SportsWrap on the great voice of the Great Lakes, 760 WJR and the Big 1050 WTKA in Ann Arbor. Danny Galen behind the glass. That's the line Lions legend Lomas Brown, easy for me to say. Join us back-to-back nights for more NFL draft coverage. Our draft analyst here at WJR. Also the Lions Wire and the Draft Report. Our good friend Russell Brown. Find him on X at Russ NFL Draft. Russell, my good man, welcome back, partner. Ready for rounds 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7?
Yeah, of course. I'm locked and loaded here. We're ready to go. The wife picked up a 36-pack of Miller Lite to kind of get through the trenches here, so we're ready to roll. But we're gonna keep it. We'll keep it professional. We'll keep it professional, and we'll be chopping it up. But I'm excited. Thanks for having me back, and ready to break this all down.
I mean, let's go right in head first. The pick that you like the most in the first round during Thursday's opening round coverage of the draft.
Yeah, I think I've got to lean towards Ruben Bain there at pick 15 to the Tampa Bay Bucks. I know that was a player that we talked about here on the show last night, and I'm sure we've talked about it, and you guys have as well, you know, on every show that you do, talking about Ruben Bain and the potential fit. And I know I kind of teased, hey, maybe the Lions would trade up for him. Obviously, that wasn't the case, but that said, I still think him landing in Tampa Bay, it's a great spot for him. He's all business. I love the way he carried himself yesterday after he was drafted. And again, I know there's some off the field stuff, which I think probably put him down the Lions board a little bit, which is probably why they lean towards offensive tackle. But, you know, there were some mumblings that maybe they were going to try to look into getting Ruben Bain. But that said, him landing at 15, he's my 7th ranked player. And I just felt like that was a great landing spot from a schematic standpoint. And then just from the overall player, I don't care about the shorter arms. You watch him play. He's a bit of a bulldozer, but he finds ways to work his hands, and he's high motor all the time. So I love that he's pedal to the metal, and I think he's going to be a great fit there in Tampa.
Yep. So, Cuz, give me a pick that you didn't like or that really surprised you, maybe not in a good way.
Yeah, I think, you know, for me, Minnesota is kind of a head scratcher. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from, you know, Caleb Banks, who's a Metro Detroit kid here. I don't want to take away from his moment. And, you know, I'm not a big draft grade guy or anything like that, but he was a player that was certainly more of a day 2 player on tape. You look at some of, you know, the measurables, there's a lot to be intrigued with at 6'6", 327 pounds, but you're talking about back-to-back foot injuries. And this was a guy that they took there at 18. And I get it. Trust your board, stay true to it. But there was a lot of buzz around Caden McDonald, Peter Woods, healthier players. And they went with the guy that's a bit of an injury risk. And this is a guy that's into his stance. And he's working on stance and starts, and he's breaking bones in his feet. So I have some concerns there. Now, obviously, he's going to get some of the best doctors in the world in the NFL, and it's an obvious need for Minnesota. They moved on from Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave, so there's an obvious need there for Caleb Banks in Minnesota, but I felt like 18 was a little rich, especially with all the movement that we started to see and teams going up from Mekhi Lemon and offensive tackles and some pass rushers. It kind of felt like maybe they could move down a little bit. I'm sure they tried, but Caleb Banks at 18 is a little rich for my liking.
You know, Russell Brown, is it strange for me to say that I feel like the New York Football Giants are going to be one of the sleeper teams this upcoming 2026 campaign? I like what they did in the draft. I like what they already have on their roster. I was like, if you guys find a coach that knows what's going on and they can kind of reel this thing in and get somewhat healthy and get rid of the curse of that turf out there, they're going to be in really good shape. I thought that they had a really good day in round number 1. I think Coach Harbaugh is going to have a field day out there in New York. I think that's a program going in the right direction.
I completely agree with you. I mean, if anybody's out there on FanDuel, DraftKings, they're taking a look at the app here before we get the draft started at 7 o'clock. I would probably look at a future bet of them winning the NFC East just as kind of a wild card here, because I'm with you 100% that they have done a really good job. I like what they did. I was a little surprised that they didn't take Caleb Downs with that 10th pick, but you can't disagree with the talent that Francis Mauigoa is, and the fact that they can put him there as kind of a plug-and-play starter at right tackle or guard. There's much to be desired there. So he screams John Harbaugh, and it's about investing in Jackson Dart. And I'll be very curious what they do here tonight, very early with the 37th overall pick. I mean, there's been a lot of rumblings of maybe Caden McDonald in that spot. They don't tend to take defensive tackles early under John Harbaugh, but they need interior defensive line help. So I'd be curious if they go that route. Maybe they go Denzel Boston, or maybe they consider like a corner like Jermod McCoy, who ended up falling here into day 2. And I know the Lions were, heavily linked to Jermod McCoy as a 17th pick for a couple of weeks leading up to the draft. But they're in a good position with plenty of capital, and they're trending in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, so Russell, were you surprised by the 8 trades that took place in the opening rounds? Was that kind of on par that you thought it would be? Was that a lot more than you thought it would be? What do you think about the trades that took place?
Yeah, I thought we were going to, see maybe a little bit of a quiet night there in the back half, just because the direction that we were kind of trending. It felt like we were speeding through the first 10 picks, 15 picks. Then the draft kind of started to slow down with the commercials and those types of things. And then the trades just started popping off. So I wasn't expecting that much action in the back half, specifically Buffalo. I was not expecting them to trade out 3 times there. And I feel kind of bad, previously, but before I started working with Fantasy Pros and Lions Wire and all that stuff, I had been working for a company called Cover One, and they're based out in Buffalo, New York, and they're all Bills fans. And I would join them on their show, and we would do live mock drafts, and everybody would say, trade down. And I'm like, I'm not trading down 3 times. No team does that. And then I put my foot in my mouth, and they end up doing it. So a little surprised there, but I think it's one of those things where maybe teams don't have that conviction in the back half here, because as we've talked about, this isn't a great draft class. So maybe there's not as much conviction in the back half of the first round, and teams wanted to put themselves in position for round 2 to kind of reassess their board and get some conviction on some players for day 2. So it was a little surprising, but not necessarily unexpected when you consider the talent pool in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, the Buffalo, I'm glad you brought them up, because they traded themselves all the way out of the first round. I'm thinking to myself, like, what are you doing? Like, how many 4th round picks do you people want up there in upstate New York? Now they have a 2nd, a 3rd, 3 4ths, 2 5ths, a 6th, and a 7th. Like, what are you going to do with all them 4th round picks? Like, I mean, unless you're trying to bundle and trade and move up later on tonight. I just did not understand that strategy at all.
Yeah, it was a little odd. I mean, it could be one of those scenarios where I know everybody kind of talks about, hey, is there going to be a player that gets dealt during the draft? It's not something we see very often, but there has been rumblings today about Kayvon Thibodeau being the odd man out in New York. Could that be something that they try to do? Maybe they piece a couple of those picks and get Kayvon Thibodeau. Maybe it's one of those things where, George Pickens oddly signs his tag yesterday. Maybe it's one of those situations where they trade for George Pickens. I mean, crazier things have certainly happened, but they must have a couple of different players that are mid-round picks, and they've got their eyes and their sights set on those players. And I would have to guess it would have to be maybe a linebacker, potentially a defensive tackle, and certainly another pass rusher, maybe a player like Cassius Howell out of Texas A&M.
Yeah. So, Russell, so many negative responses to the draft pick of Blake Miller. Why do you think that was the case? So why do you think people are so negative on this pickup of seemed like a position of need that we needed? Why do you think that? Is it because of the nature of the position? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's definitely the nature of the position. It's not sexy by any means. And when you get players like Reuben Bain and Caleb Downs down into the teens, you start kind of giving yourself false hope. And even maybe, just myself included, getting on the radio yesterday talking about how the potential of them maybe moving up for Reuben Bain is a possibility, because everything's a possibility in hindsight. So, I think it is just one of those things, though, where Blake Miller's not overly sexy. They kind of got into this mindset of, hey, left tackle, why move Penei Sewell? Outside of that, I'm not exactly sure, why there's so much hatred for a guy that started 54 games. He's got great hands, great grip strength. Played over 3,400 career snaps at Clemson at a very high level of football. And you can look at, rushing stats and what their totals are. You can look at that across the board. But when you're watching the 5 offensive linemen and the left guards getting tripped up and falling over, and then you constantly are watching the tape and the only consistent piece there at Clemson was Blake Miller, I mean, I think that's kind of an eye-opening thing as far as an evaluator goes. And it's certainly the case for the Lions, who have been watching him, as they confirmed, for about 3 years now. So I think it's all about conviction, and I think this is a plug-and-play guy. And it's been in the blueprint and in the plans to move Penei Sewell to the left side. So we've got to trust the process and understand that the Lions have something and a vision and something planned as far as the direction that they want to go as a football team, but not only as a team, but with their players. So I love the pick. I think it's a safe pick, and I think it's a player. It's a solid double for you. You don't always have to hit home runs in the first round. You can hit a double, and that's what Blake Miller's going to be. He's going to be a double. He's going to be consistent on Sundays. And if as I said yesterday, you got to keep this offense going, because if the offense don't go, and if they don't get going, this team is not going to win many football games.
Hey, Russell Brown, do you think that with all the traction that was out there nationally with Caden Proctor and the Lions and Peter Schrager going on the Four-Letter Network, do you think that, Brad Holmes kind of duped everybody? Like, this was the first time that, the Lions have ever been really like super linked to an individual player at this level across the board, where everyone's like, oh my goodness, the Lions, they love this guy. And then we saw a trade for another team to go get him. Do you think that this was like a little Brad Holmes espionage masterclass?
Yeah, I do. I really do. I think, this is one of those situations where he got everybody fooled thinking that, and it could be the Reuben Bain stuff as well. I think it's him getting people to believe that he's got his sights set on different players, and there's a reason why he didn't move, and there's a reason why he didn't move back. There's a reason why he didn't move up. He had his sights set on one particular player, and that's Blake Miller. I'm sure Caleb Downs was a higher ranked player on their board than Blake Miller, but depending on how they put things horizontally on their board and in tiers, Blake Miller could have easily been, a top 5, top 10 player for them all day long. So he fits their DNA. And I think, as fans, you don't want the project in Caden Proctor. There's a lot of uncertainty. When Nick Saban, his former head coach, is coming out saying he's not a self-starter, that's a red flag. When you've got coaches coming out and saying Blake Miller got better every single year, one of the strongest freshmen we've ever had, by the time he left, he was a beast. And this is a guy that's got, a 600-pound squat record. He's freakishly strong. He doesn't look it, but he is freakishly strong. And I love the pick. As much as I wanted Monroe Freeling, and he goes 2 picks later, I love Blake Miller. I'm all in. It's Miller time. Let's crack the Miller Lakes. Let's get after it.
I like it. I just want to ask you real fast, what about the reaction of Sean McVay when they picked the quarterback? What's your thoughts on that? What you think's going on there? Do you think him and Les Snead, do you think they're still on the same page? You think it might be something behind the scenes that's going on? Because his reaction, he didn't look very happy, Sean McVay.
No, he did not look very happy at all. And I thought it was really odd listening to Sean McVay talk to Kay Adams today. And he essentially kind of turned the question basically back to her and into a question saying, hey, you know more about Ty Simpson than I do. You've watched him more than I have. And I just felt like that was very odd when we're talking about a quarterback. We're not talking about a running back or an offensive tackle or like the 7th tackle in the draft. We're talking about the 2nd-ranked quarterback consensus in the draft. And this guy doesn't really seem to have a gauge of what he provides his football team, other than the fact that he's going to come in, sit behind Matthew Stafford and compete with Stetson Bennett. So it's a very intriguing dynamic. It looked like they were not in lockstep there. Maybe there's more there than meets the eye. I'm not obviously there, but I'm in agreement that I think it was a very odd turn of events, and it was definitely a head scratcher to see the name Ty Simpson come across at pick 13. I mean, I had an assumption that he was going to go in the first round, but pick 13 was a little rich, especially for a team as everybody talks about Super Bowl windows and being all in. This kind of felt like a moment where they could go all in, go get a guy like Reuben Bain, go get Monroe Freeling, go get whoever it is that you need. And this was the direction that they went. So it was a little odd.
Couldn't believe it. Final one here for you, Russell. Biggest surprise, if any, of a guy that did not go in the opening round that you thought might, that fell into the second?
Man, I really thought Colton Hood was going to be that guy that ended up going in the first round. With so much buzz around him and his teammate Jermod McCoy, it really seemed like the next best corner was Colton Hood. And he ended up falling into day 2, which is not something that I was really expecting in yesterday's draft. So I'm going to be very intrigued to see where he ends up landing. I would have to assume, potentially the New York Jets would have some intrigue in him at some point in the second round, maybe at pick 44. But it's going to be very intriguing to see how this whole thing plays out with some of these top players. TJ Parker from Clemson, Blake Miller's teammate. I would have to assume the Lions are working the phones to maybe get in position to potentially land him tonight. We'll see how it goes. But Colton Hood, Jermiah McCoy, TJ Parker, Denzel Boston, just a couple of names out there. It's a talented second round here, and we're going to see these guys flying up here in the next 5-10 minutes.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And by the way, the Detroit Lions have the 18th selection in the second round. Who is the 18th best available player according to ESPN? Texas Tech linebacker Jacob Rodriguez. So just throwing that out there. Russell Brown, cousin, man, we appreciate you. As always a fun time of year, partner. Thank you so much for swinging by 2 nights back-to-back in a row with us. Man, we appreciate you.
Appreciate it, guys. We'll talk hopefully next week or the week after to recap all this stuff. You guys be well. We'll talk soon.
Enjoy those Millers. Blake Millers. Blake Millers. Blake Millers. A lot of Blake Millers. No, it's going to be fun. Gotta go defense, right? Second round defense?
Yeah, I would think so. And I'm thinking there's somebody on the edge, AB.
Or if not, you might be on the edge, Lomas Brown. That's possible.
I'm already on the edge.
For the great Danny Galen and the Lions legend Lomas Brown, I'm Anthony Bellino saying so long. We'll recap all the action for the entire weekend. Monday night, same time, same place, on the great voice of the Great Lakes.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you